right. Must have been had a happy Thanksgiving and a
Yeah.
healthy one and a safe one. And you're back here with us today, and we're so glad to see you all. All right. So, Mike, how about getting us started?
Yes, yes. Good morning and welcome. And thank you for joining us in the spirit of perfect harmony. We are the Center for Spiritual Living West Georgia. We study and practice the philosophy and science of the mind we know as God. And with our spiritual presence and our participation in the service this morning, we create a higher state of consciousness, rise above any negative energy that prevailed this past week, and manifest love. We know love is synonymous to God. Our master teacher, Reverend Dr. Sandra Jackson, has been keeping us informed throughout this past week and will now proceed with our service. Reverend?
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, everybody. Once again, let us begin this service by creating a sacred space. And we do that by closing our eyes, turning within, and joining together in the oneness and in the realization that we are one, that our places, our positions, our bodies, our time, no matter where we are all connected in, through, and as the oneness, the wholeness, the presence, the power, and the life that is the living God. And so, as we drop all of our individual selves and allow ourselves to simply sink into that awareness that we are one, that we feel, we know, and we experience the wholeness of our being. All time and space drops away as we enter into that oneness, into that wholeness, into that absoluteness that is the Spirit of God, that is who and what we are. And so, in this very moment, we set the tone, we create the sacred space, and we open ourselves to be fully and completely available to that which is our experience today, for the growing, the awareness, the love, the sharing, the wonder, the mystery, and the experience of being fully and completely present and opening ourselves so that we may be fully available, not just to the message, but that truth that is seeking to express itself in, through, and as us. And so we know that this is the truth of who we are this day, and we allow it to be as we release this word and know that it is done. And so it is. Amen. Okay, good morning. What's in? So, Marcia, how
Good
about
morning.
let's doing our vision and mission statement and declaration of principles?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Um,
Mhm.
CSL West Georgia is a joyful global community where everyone belongs. Through our unique spiritual teachings, we provide a safe environment to experience compassionate living. In our declaration of principles, I believe in the unity of all life and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. There is one life of which I am a part, one intelligence which I use, and one substance which takes form as my life. Thank
Okay, thank you, Marcia. Kristen, good morning. So our guest speaker, our guest singer this morning is Kristen and Justice Petro. And so take it away.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm joining you guys live from Cayucas, California today, visiting family out here. Um, but I wanted to share this song I wrote with you, and it's called I Look Within Myself. So it's all about anything that we see outward in the world, it lives within ourselves. So it's kind of like if you spot it, you got it, right? So that's kind of like I'm going to look within myself if I'm having anything, I'm going to look within and really tap into that and be at peace with what's happening. So here's the tune. I look within myself. I look within myself. When the tides of my fears are running high, and I just wanna run and hide, I stop, look inside, and ask why. I look within myself. I look within myself. When my ego starts getting loud and words are said strong and proud, apologies are nowhere to be found. I look within myself. I look within myself. I look within myself. When I find myself stuck in my head, reliving hurts that someone said, and all I feel is down on myself. I look within myself. I look within myself. I look within myself. I look within myself. Be the change in the world you want to see. Treat others as you want to be treated. If you find yourself placing blame, remember we're all God's divinity. Yeah. Ooh, I look within myself. 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 Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Dorothea.
Hello, CSL. Thank you, Reverend Sandra. I'm reading the story Passed by Death. I think that's the story. Is that the name of it? There was a man who coveted his neighbor's lamp. One day he went to them, asked to borrow an earthen mug, and was given it. The next day he returned it with a little mug inside. Why bring us mugs when you borrowed one? The neighbor asked. In the middle of the night, I heard a groan, replied the man. I see. And I went and found your mug, and it had given birth to a baby. So I'm only returning what is yours. The astonished neighbors and nothing took the two mugs in silence. The next day, the man asked for the loan of a tin plate. He returned the two tin plates, and the neighbor asked again that the bigger one had given birth. Delighted, they took both plates. The next day, he came to borrow a glass pitcher, which the neighbors were only too happy to lend him. Nor did he disappoint them, for he brought them back two pitchers, a mother and a child. They were thrilled to have such a good neighbor who kept bringing them more and more things. One day, the man came and asked to borrow the neighbor's silver lamp and was given it with all alacrity. That's the word. When several days passed without a sign of him, they knocked on his door and said, "Neighbor." And dumbfounded, they were looking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When several days passed and there was no sign of him, they knocked on his door and said, "Neighbor." Oh, wow. It just keeps disappearing on me. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Once again. One day, the man asked to borrow the neighbor's silver lamp and was given it with alacrity. When several days passed without a sign of him, they knocked on his door and said, "Neighbor, why haven't you returned the silver lamp we lent you?" "I'm terribly sorry," replied the man. "But when I do, in the middle of the night, I heard a groan, and I went to see what it was. I found your lamp had passed away." "What?" said the neighbors, dumbfounded. "How can a lamp die? If a cup, a plate, a pitcher can give birth," replied the man, "what's to keep a lamp from dying?" The end. My apologies. My apologies.
Thank you. I was on mute. Sorry. Thanks. But anyway, thank you so much. I'm glad you figured it out. Okay. So, and Kristen, thank you so much for the song this morning. And I hope everybody realizes that, so many times we get original songs. We get songs that people have actually written for us. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right. So today's talk is the last in the series this month of Living as Compassionate Conduits. And today's talk in particular is the grateful and cheerful receiver. And sometimes we forget that we have to be a receiver, that we cannot be a conduit, a compassionate conduit, if we do not hold ourselves worthy and capable of being able to give. We have to have something that we are able to give, and we have to recognize that within ourselves. So I want to take you back a little bit. Most of us were raised in Christian religions. And even if you weren't, you were indoctrinated with the Western theological belief that pretty much permeates Western theology, and that is the doctrine of original sin. Now, I don't know if you don't know this, but original sin is not in the Bible. It's a doctrine, it's a theology, it's something that religions have taught, that Western civilization has bought into and believed, but it's not in the Bible. But we have come to believe, so many people, when I've told people that, they were like, "Really? It's not in the Bible?" And then they go looking for it. It's not in the Bible, okay? So we have this belief that has, as a result of this whole idea of original sin, that we were all born in sin and that we are sinners until we what? are redeemed, and the redemption comes with Jesus and the Christ and the suffering on the cross. And if you are like me and so many others, I have no doubt we have questioned, if Jesus died for our sins, then why are we still sinners? Okay. It's because of this doctrine. All right. It's because of this belief. And it's called the fall redemption doctrine. And it begins with sin and it ends with the redemption, supposedly on the cross. Well, this doctrine is patriarchal and it's dualistic. And once again, it is not in the Bible. It's a doctrine, a teaching. It is not something that we have to adhere to. So it comes from Adam and Eve. We all know Adam and Eve, okay? And what happened to Adam and Eve? Adam ate from the tree because Eve told him to. Here is this man who was not able to resist this woman's charms. And so therefore, he ate from this tree that he had no business eating from. And of course, we women have been in many societies all throughout history, been blamed for being Eve and tempting men, right? Okay. So I won't go any further than that. You all know I can let your imaginations run on that one. But at any rate, Matthew Fox wrote a book back in the 80s called Original Blessing. And in it, he says that we are truly, in actuality, that the original blessing is a far more ancient and more biblical doctrine. And it ought to be the starting point of our spirituality, that we are originally blessed, that we are blessed. Okay, so I want you to remember in Genesis, it says that man, humankind, is made in the image and likeness of God. So what does that mean? Think about yourself standing in front of a mirror. When you stand in front of a mirror, what shows up? Everything, right? Warts and all, as they say. Okay. Everything, whatever you're wearing that day shows up in the mirror. If you change clothes, guess what? The change of clothes is going to show up in the mirror, right? Because the image that you see in the mirror is what you put in front of it. So what Genesis is saying is that God put you in front of it like a mirror, and you're an image of God individualized. Okay, so that's the original blessing, that we are divine beings, that we are spiritual beings, and that we are all that God intended us for us to be. But at the same time, we have to deal with this whole idea of sin. Okay, so I want you to think about a little child, and maybe yourself. And maybe you can remember when you were near a stove, or a child is near a stove, and they're told, that's hot, don't touch. And what does the child want to do? Okay, the child wants to see for itself how hot that thing is. Is it really dangerous? Okay. And so what they do is they touch it, right? And then they get burned. And the parent or the adult, whoever, scolds them. I told you not to touch that thing, right? But what is happening there? The child is learning for themselves. They have sinned, okay? They have made a mistake, and that mistake has caused them to get hurt. Adam and Eve are in a protected place. They are children. They are in a protected place. They're in this garden. They are taken care of. Their needs are all being met, just like we were. All our needs were being met when we were little 2-year-olds, when we were 3-year-olds, when we were year-old, when we were babies. Okay, our needs. We were in this protected garden where everybody was it was, if we were in a good family. Let me put it that way. If we were in a good family, or if we were in a good place, then what happened is all our needs were met. Okay. And that's what Adam and Eve are. They're in a garden where all their needs are met, but they are children. And God says to them, don't go eat of that tree. Now, in biblical or in Aramaic, when they say eat, they mean not just eat physically, but they're like, don't take in this learning. Okay, don't eat of this food, of this intelligence. Okay, you're not ready for it. That's what God's saying. And what is this tree? It's a tree of knowledge. And it's a tree of knowledge of good and evil. And Adam and Eve are not sufficiently aware and understanding and conscious to know the difference between good and evil. So God says, don't eat of that tree. Don't go to that learning. Just stay here in the garden. But they are curious little children and they need to learn. And so they go and they what? Partake of the tree of good and evil, of knowledge. And they find out there's not just good, there's evil too. And that is what the world is. The world is a place of separation where we feel that we are separated from God. Is that truth? No. But there is that feeling, right? And so that's why in Science of Mind, we're constantly at you. We are one, no matter how many distinct bodies we have, no matter how individual we are. We stand in front of the mirror, and the mirror image we have is the mirror of God expressing itself in the form that we have taken. Okay? So you and I are like Adam and Eve. We are born as a blessing. We are divine. We are made in the image and likeness of God. And therefore we have what Adam and Eve discovered is you have the powers of God, which is what? The power to know and be conscious of who you are. You and I have that power. Herbert Haig was a president of Catholic Bible Association in Germany, and he said, the doctrine of original sin is not found in any of the writings of the Old Testament. No man or woman, I added the woman part because he's only talking about men, because that's how long ago it was. No man or woman enters the world a sinner. As the creature and image of God, he is from his first hour surrounded by God's fatherly love. A man becomes a sinner. How? Only through his own individual and responsible action. So it is through our action, and it was through Adam and Eve's action that they partake of what God told them not to do. Now remember something, that is an allegory, it's a story, it's a parable. It is not something that is literal, and it should not be taken as literal, although I know a lot of people do, okay, throughout the centuries, but it's not intended to be a literal story. It is intended that you and I can relate to it from the time that we were little children, like I was explaining. From the time we're little children, we're curious and we're wanting to discover our world, and we're busy, active, out there doing stuff, and we make mistakes. We get hurt and we get in pain, and we cause problems for ourselves and other people. And each one of us has had this experience, but it doesn't mean that we are unworthy and that we are not divine beings. It simply means that we are in the process of learning who we are and following that journey to coming to the full and complete awareness of that. And so I want to tell you about Kali. Kali is a Hindu goddess, and I love Kali. I didn't know who she was till I went to visit India, and we went to various temples, and they have goddess and gods all over the place. But Kali is an interesting one, because in the West, we think of God as just God, right? There's just one God. And Egyptians, Hindus, and other people have multiple gods. And because we are filtering that which we see out there through our own Western minds, then we're looking at them and saying they have multiple gods. They don't. They have one God that has multiple expressions, okay? We say, when we talk about God, and we talk about God as being judgmental And God is, temperamental, and God tests us and all this kind of stuff, right? All of those are various aspects of God that Hindus have put into different gods. So when something bad is going on, when your life is being destroyed and it is disruptive, then they say, oh, that's Kali active in your life. But what is Kali doing? Kali's job is to create. That's what she's there for. She's a creator. But look, sometimes in order to create, you have to do what? Destroy. You sometimes have to destroy fear or anger. Sometimes your peace gets disrupted, okay? But sometimes you have to get rid of what's there in order for something new to blossom and come forth. We are going into the winter season, right? We're in fall right now. We're going into winter season. And what's going to happen? We're going to have trees without leaves and everything is going to look dead. But is it dead? No, it is asleep. And in the spring, it will burst forth anew. And I mean, it amazes me every spring when you look at the trees on Monday and on Tuesday, they've got these little bright green leaves. And on Wednesday, they're like, bam, the whole tree is bursting with brilliance and greenness. It's been there all the time, but we haven't seen it. Do you see? And yet we're walking around in the darkness of winter complaining, oh, it's so cold and I don't like this dark and I get depressed in the winter. And we do all of this stuff, right? And yet at the same time, what is going on? There's this work that's being done underground. There's this work being done in the earth. There's this work being done in creation, and life is coming forth anew, bursting forth in spring in a way that we never ever would have thought of if we were just looking at the winter. The same thing happens with you. There are times when you are growing and learning and expressing yourself in new ways. And in order to do that, sometimes you have to go into the stillness, you have to go into the silence, you have to go into the quiet, you have to break down the negativity, you have to break down the stuff that gets in your way. Have to get rid of those beliefs that you're not worthy, that you're not a child of God, that you're this and that you're that, and that you're all the stuff that other people told you were that you're not, but they told you and you believed it. All that stuff, okay? And yet at the same time, think about it. Have you ever planted something? You plant the seed in the soil, right? And nothing seems to be happening for a while. If you plant it now, like tulips, I don't know if you know it, but tulips need to be planted in the fall so they can be cold in the ground. They need the freezing cold of the ground to allow them to burst forth into the spring in color. I mean, it's like we all need something in order to come to that place where we're aware of who we are. And we go through all these trials and tribulations and difficulties and problems. And we're always, wanting to see the light. And I want the end of this problem to end. And I want all the goodness and everything, without realizing that sometimes what happens with the seed, we have to nurture it. We have to water it. We have to give it the proper nurturing and caring and support and love and all that stuff in order for it to grow up into the beautiful plant that is going to be. But what do we want first? We want the fruit. Yeah, cannot get the fruit unless you plant the seed. And you cannot get the fruit unless you grow the plant, unless you nurture it, unless you care for it, unless you pay attention to it. Do you see? And then you have to wait, because in between you're watering, you're doing what? You're waiting, and you're growing, and it's growing a little bit at a time. We are like that. That's how our spiritual journey is. Okay, but we have to begin with the belief that we are worthy, that we are worthy. There was a a man who attended a conference, and he was walking down the street after the conference, and he was in a strange city, and so he was whiling away his hours waiting for his plane to take off. And so he went strolling through the city, and he was doing a lot of window shopping, and he spotted a particularly attractive cashmere sweater in a window of a store. And so he was thinking affectionately of his wife. And by the way, she loved cashmere. And so the man walked into the store and purchased the sweater, and he asked the salesperson to gift wrap it. So then he arrived home, and once he arrived home, he handed the gift to his wife, and she looked at him at first in surprise. Wow, look at this. But then something approaching suspicion crept over her face. And so she started opening the gift, and she examined it appreciatively. But then she looked up and she asked, "What is this for?" Think about that. She was unworthy. She did not think, she thought of her how she was thinking of her her husband with suspicion. The gift, she could not receive the gift. She could not receive the gift because, not because of her husband. It has nothing to do with her husband. You know, I don't care what he's done in the past. This has nothing to do with her husband. This has something to do with who she is and her ability to receive. And sometimes we are being given gifts and we can't receive them. Think about that. That's what today's lesson is. We have to learn to be receiver. And how do we become a receiver? By having a sense of vision, of gratitude, a realization that we are born in love, that we are divine beings, that we are children of the divine, that we are image of God, that we are love itself. And that there are times when we have experiences that don't look like that, but that doesn't erase the truth of who we are. It doesn't erase the truth of who we are. In the winter, the trees have bare leaves, but the truth is what? That they are still trees, that spring will come, that they are sleeping, that they are quiet, but they will burst forth in the spring with aliveness. Because why? They were always alive. And so no matter what is happening in our lives, we are always alive. And so we wake up in the morning giving thanks for what? Life itself. Because as long as you're breathing, you're still here. But even St. John of the Cross said what? You have to go through the dark night of the soul. And we go through many dark nights. Every time we're in pain, every time we're suffering, every time we're sad, we have a country that's in grief right now. And many of us maybe ignored it, but we are still in grief. And that's sadness. And that's the pain that you have to go through, right? But that doesn't mean that God is not love and that we are not love. It doesn't mean that we can't be grateful because we are alive, that we can't be grateful for the good things that are happening in our lives. It doesn't mean we can't be grateful that winter is coming and that spring can't be far behind. You see, this is life. This is life. And we have to know and be grateful that we are worthy. We are worthy. Why? Because we are. That's why we're worthy. That is why we're worthy, because we are. We plant the seed of life within ourselves. It's been planted. God planted it within us. And we just get to what? Nurture it, grow it, but be grateful that we have the seed of the divinity within us. And be grateful that we have the intelligence, the awareness, the consciousness, and all the tools we need in order to grow. Do you see? Adam and Eve got thrown out of the garden, out of the protectiveness, because they wanted to know who they were. Stop and think about that. Stop and think about when you or anybody you know, or children, other family people, what happens to teenagers? Kids, I mean, if you had teenagers in your house, or if you've been a teenager, okay, there was a time with children, it's like, oh, we were so, mothers and fathers say this all the time, right? Oh, they were such gorgeous little kids, and we did such wonderful things, and now they're teenagers and they don't want to have anything to do with us. They don't want to have that. What? Be with my mother on vacation? I don't think so. Right? I mean, what are they looking for? They're looking for their independence. They want out of the garden. They want to be able to start living their lives. And some of them can't wait. Okay? Some of us couldn't wait. All right. And so here's the thing. We're all Adam and Eve. We all want to get out of the protectiveness of that insulation of people protecting us all the time, and out of the garden where we have all of our needs are met, so that we can what? So we can explore, so we can grow, so we can expand, so we can experience the fullness and the completeness of life, because there's that urge within us to grow and expand and to be all that we can possibly be in the life that we are now living, because that is God in us, through us, and as us, seeking to express all the fullness of life that it possibly can through the being that we are. And we go, oh no, excuse me, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You just have to have the willingness. The power is within you. The vision is what is required, and the gratitude to have an open heart to receive that which is the divine seeking to express itself in you. And it doesn't express itself in you as it does in me. Each one of us has our own expression. Each one of us has to find it for ourselves. We're each one on a journey. We're on a collective journey, but we're on an individual journey too. And so I invite you this week, as November ends and we begin December, the end of the year, to look back this year and ask yourself, where was I at the beginning and where am I now? Have I grown? Am I more compassionate? Am I more inclusive? Because these are all the topics we had this year, Am I more loving? Am I more grateful? Am I more of who God has created me to be? Am I more receptive to the life of God moving in me, through me, and as me? Am I more available for God to express itself through me? Am I willing to get rid of anything and everything that's in the way, including these old beliefs that are simply not true about ourselves or any others? We start with ourselves. And when we know who we are, then guess what? We can look around and say, well, I guess Marsha must be one too. I guess Mike must be one. I guess Barbara also must be an expression of God. And Kristen and Connie and Dorothea and Ajika and Ruthie and Zizi and Gloria and Ken and Ronnie and everybody. If I missed you, I didn't mean to. Cynthia and Kathy, all of us, each and every one of us is a divine expression of life itself. But God didn't want us to be all the same. If he did, he'd have made us rubber stamps of each other. Okay? But you have to eat of the tree of knowledge so that you can be all that you could possibly be. Open yourself. Don't be scared. Don't let the fear stop you. Step up and be all you can possibly in. Because like Kristen's song, it's all within. It's within. It's within. Okay? And let us just know this truth. from the very depth of our being. And so the way we take this is we take it and we center it in prayer. So open your hearts with me now and close your eyes and just center yourself where you are. Just get comfortable in your seat. And just let these words not just hear them, but allow yourself to experience them. And know this truth for yourself. Know that right here, right now, I am that I am. I am the perfection, for I stand in the mirror that is God, and it is reflecting me as the divinity that I am. And it has given me power and presence, abundance and joy. It has given me life itself. And there is absolutely nothing that stands in the way, for my mirror of life is clean and clear, and it fully and completely reflects back to me the divinity of my own self. And so in this very moment, I feel it, I know it, I experience it, for it is the very presence and life of who and what I am. And I am open with gratitude and thanksgiving that this is the truth of me, that absolutely nothing that has gone before this very moment is more true than what I am knowing right here and right now. I am standing before the mirror of life itself, and it is reflecting to me the fullness, the completeness, the totality, the oneness, the absoluteness that is spirit in me, through me, and as me. And so as I open myself to this, as I make myself available, the divinity of life moves in me in such a way that it moves me forward in this life so that I may eat of the tree of knowledge and know the difference for what is good for me and what needs to be discarded. I allow the callous part of me to just simply destroy that which is no longer needed and necessary, and allow the creative Callie to express in me that life, that vibrant, radiant, blossoming life of God that is seeking to express itself through me. All resistance right here and right now is gone. I am fully and completely envisioning and enabling all of the gratitude that I possibly can manage so that I can be all that I can possibly be in this moment. From this moment on, this is the truth of who I am. This is the blessing that is flowing in, through, and as all that I am. And I gratefully open my heart and mind to fully and completely receive it, fully and completely without reservation, right here, right now, in this moment. And so, knowing this is the truth, I release it now into the law, knowing it is divinely expressing itself perfectly in my life individually. And so it is. Amen.
Wow.
Thank you.
That was powerful. That was powerful. I know I needed to hear that. That was,
Thanks.
we all do. So,
Kristen,
yes. Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Cynthia.
I said, will you tell us about your concert that's coming up that we can all tune into?
Yes, so I have a live stream concert. If you guys would all love to join, I'd love to have you join in. You can join in on my Facebook page, and that's facebook.com/backslash Kristen Hope Justice. And it's a concert of love notes and lullabies. And so I'm taking all this. I never realized how spiritual Disney really was And so I'm taking all these songs, like A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes from Cinderella, and When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio, and Pure Imagination, and just taking all these feel good songs and songs about love and songs about making your wishes come true and believing in your dreams. Because we are worthy. Because we are worthy to live our dreams and to believe our dreams.
And
So
Kristen, if you text that to Marcia, she can put it in the chat later. Okay. All right.
It's already in the announcements. We
Okay.
got it.
All right.
We're ready.
Okay. All right. Great.
yeah, so this next song I recently wrote, and it goes along the lines of Reverend Sandra's. It's amazing how God works. God always makes everything fit together, and there's divine inspiration, and we are all connected, and we all are one, and we all are meant to live our highest and best lives. And for me personally, I've struggled with that and believing in myself. And it's like that quote from, I guess, is it Marianne Williamson that says, when we ask ourselves, who are we to do this? Well, who are we not to? Right? So God wants us to live our highest and our best. And I found that when I had trouble believing in myself, it was easier to believe in God, and that God's will was for me to live my highest and best. And God wants me so I could believe in God. So I had unshakable faith. And so this song is called Unshakable Faith. And it's about, when you're going to fail, we're going to have those dark nights of the soul, but we just have to have faith, and we have to step out in faith and trust in God and trust in our intuition, because that inner intuition is God speaking to us and through us. And the closer that we come to God and the more faith that we have, the easier it is to follow that inspiration. And so that's what this is about. With unshakable faith, I've got no time for worry, too busy praising your glory. For this day you have made. With unshakable faith, I may not see clearly, but I know you're here with me. Every step of the way, for every mistake I have made, every fall you have caught me, it's been all worth the wait. I can see clearly for every bump in the road that made me take the highway, for every door that's been closed. Show me a new way, gave me a new day, and I know it's all because of you. I have the strength to do what's mine to do. With unshakable faith, I've got no time for worry, too busy praising your glory. For this day you have made. With unshakable faith, I may not see clearly, but I know you're here with me. Every step of the way, and I know it's all because of you. I have the strength to do what's mine to do. So show me the way, I'll climb the mountain. Show me the way, I'll swim the ocean. Show me the way, I'll walk the desert. There is no way to shake my devotion. Show me the way, I'll climb the mountain. Show me the way, I'll swim the ocean. Show me the way, I'll walk the desert. There is no way to shake my devotion. Show me the way, I'll climb the mountain. Show me the way, I'll swim the ocean. Show me the way, I'll walk the desert. There is no way to shake my devotion. With unshakable faith, I've got no time for worry, too busy praising your glory. For this day you have made. unshakable faith. You always remind me that it's all in your timing, with unshakable faith. Thank you guys. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you so much for 2 perfect songs. All right, thanks. And don't forget to check out her Facebook page. Let's see. Our conscious giving time. Marsha.
Hello again, everyone. It is our time to talk about how we can have our compassionate giving, our conscious giving, and support our ministry. There are 3 ways you can go about it. One way, if you feel comfortable doing it electronically, we have a PayPal account. That link is in the chat window. It is also in our newsletter. You may go ahead and pay via PayPal. If you feel more comfortable mailing a check, our address is there on the screen. It's there in the chat window, and it also is in our newsletter. I always like to mention that you can also, if you're an Amazon shopper, you can go ahead and connect to our Smile account. And Amazon, it is our Amazon's way of um, giving back. So whatever you choose to spend with them, they will then give a percentage of your purchase to our center. And so let's all come together and affirm. I am grateful for the divine givingness circulating abundantly through my life, my community, and my world. And Reverend Sandra, I'm just going to go ahead and start the announcements, and then I'll just let you go with that because I had a few
Okay.
slides already set up.
Sounds good to me.
Yes. So I wanted to let everybody know that our actually it should be 2021, oops, spiritual journal is on sale. This link is in the chat window. It's also in our newsletter. You can go ahead and click the link and order your books. The journal is going to be $13 plus $5 shipping for the first journal and $3 additional if you have additional books. So that's one message. Please go ahead and place your order so that we can get it to you on time. Getting in the spirit, our CSO West Georgia is planning our Christmas program. It's going to be on December 20th. Please reach out to Cynthia if you would like to participate. We are looking for people that are willing to do spoken words, do a reading. If you would like to sing, perform, thank you, Bella. She wanted to perform, obviously. And if you'd like to give your gifts of playing an instrument, that's fine. We're just trying to get it together so we can have a glorious time just celebrating life on December 20th. And here it is, Miss Kristen. We are so happy that you have joined us. She is going to be performing December 6th at Trinity Center for Spiritual Living. There's limited seating because for social distancing, but it's going to be live streamed. And the easiest way to connect is to go to her Facebook page, and she is listed as Kristen Hope Justice. Go ahead and search her out, and we're excited that you have joined us today and that you're going to be doing some awesome songs. I cannot wait to hear your renditions of these beautiful Disney songs. I mean, they're just awesome.
Love the picture. I love the picture. Yeah, that's a great picture.
All right, I'm passing it on to you. Go ahead.
Okay, and so we don't have a picture of it, and maybe next time. But Lily and I, last year, and I guess previous years, CSL West Georgia has given to Toys for Tots at Christmas time. And this year, Lily and I were talking, and we decided that we did not want to do that. We prefer instead to give to Atlanta Food Bank. And so we searched it all out and found out that if we give to Atlanta Food Bank, then we can designate, if we give through our church, okay, then we can say the money that comes through our church, we want to go to Douglasville food banks, because they have a lot of food banks that they're partners with, and Douglas County is one of Douglas County is one of the food banks that they are partners with. So we have in the newsletter, just go to the newsletter, and there is a link there for you to see what the Atlanta Food Bank does and everything. It goes to the website, and then, or you can do it today when you donate on our website. When you use our donation, you have choices. Okay, you can do offering or tithe. You can designate. We now have a link that says Atlanta Food Bank. So any money that we collect from there, we are going to gather it all together and send it together to the Atlanta Food Bank. I'd like to get this done by the time we have our the last day to collect would be on the day of our Christmas party. It's December 20th. Okay, so think about how much you would like to contribute. I'm sure that you've all heard this year, because of the pandemic, more and more people are food insecure. And that's why we thought it'd be better to give food this year, and allow people to have it's basically giving the gift of life, right? Because we need food to live. And it takes the pressure off of people if they have if we can do those donations. And since we cannot be together and bring cans and things like that, the money works as a substitute. Okay. All right. So those are our announcements for today, unless anybody has anything else. And happy end of November. Happy getting ready for the new year. This has been some year, hasn't it? I mean, we started out 2020 with all these glorious ideas of all the great things that were going to happen. And you know what? Great things have happened. They look kind of funny, but they have happened. Okay. So take stock of them this year and get ready, because we're going to have visioning later this month. And during the visioning, we will set our feet and our thoughts and our attention towards next year, 2021. Okay, so we have a video for you that I think is quite appropriate for today. Thanksgiving is a daily experience and expression of God's love. So go this week and enjoy. Marsha, our closing affirmation. That song kind of takes your breath away. We go forth today knowing that we are God's blessing in the world. Only good goes from us, and only good comes to us. And so it is. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Cynthia, for getting up early. Kristen's in California, so she really got up early. And thank you all our Nevada people and our California people. Thank you all for getting up early and being with us. And Barbara, thanks. It's good to see you again. And everybody, Dorothea, thank you for doing the reading this morning. And Mike for doing our our opening every Sunday. Thank you. I love you all. If any of you want to hang around for a little while and have some fellowship, I will leave the I can't talk anymore. I'm done.